Excelente, joven, etcétera.
Thrill me.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and today I'm joined, as always, by my weekly co-host, Steven. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going? I always want to do some stupid intro, and I never know what to do.
I just panic mid
Yeah,
Good hello.
I just do the Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing
anyways.
good. That was the worst Forrest Gump impression. So if it makes you
It
feel
was really
better, I
bad.
followed up your awkwardness with even worse. But hell yeah. And of course, today we're talking about Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor by your choice. This
Yeah,
was your pick, of course. And then, but before we dive into that, do you have anything horror or music related that you want to share that you've been up to lately?
sure. So horror movies. I haven't really been watching like a lot of new stuff. I of course rewatched Possessor, because we're going to talk about it and wanted it to be fresh in my head. But I recently had a first watch of Bloodhook. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that's one I need to see because I've seen like the
I mean,
poster,
the yeah,
thumbnail or whatever. Yeah.
the box art is so classically like 80s cheesy horror. And I didn't know it was a Trauma film.
Oh, yeah.
Um, or maybe Trauma just has the distribution rights for it. So I don't know if it would, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
But it had the classic like Trauma intro, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna love the shit out of this. Um, Dude, it was so fun. I was just like, it was when did I watch it? It was just like an absurdly hot night day. We've been like having heat wave after heat wave. So I was just like, this seems like a fun, like summertime horror movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I've had it on my IMDb list for like years. And it was just one of those classic, like, this is gonna be really bad and cheesy. Like when the slashers like go from like, okay, there's like the big ones, and then you hit like that next level that like these are sick, like super hidden gems, and then you get to that like next tier where you're like, it's pretty good, and then there's the stuff below that. I was
Yeah.
like, this is probably in that realm where I'm just like, this is gonna be so bad. But it was sick. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
liked it. It was a little longer than I expected. And maybe it wasn't long, but the story kind of dragged on more than I expected. But dude, it's rad. It's I mean the whole kill situation is cheesy as hell because it's like, somebody's on a boat and literally the biggest fishing lure you've ever seen in your life just like plops on the boat and like hooks them, and they're like, "Ah."
Yeah.
It's really good though. But I mean the story is fun, and there's like a pretty cool lore to it, and actually like the like college age, like, young teeny actors or whatever. They're all like pretty solid. Like usually like some of those movies, like they're so bad, you don't really
Yeah.
like them, but I don't know, they're fun. They're good characters. So,
Oh,
but
yeah. Now,
definitely check it out.
where'd you watch it?
I think I watched it on Tubi.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Figures.
Naturally, Tubi always has that kind of stuff. So, I think that was the other reason why it took so long. I kept getting like ad after ad, which is
Yeah.
the only bummer about Tubi, but I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I don't mind Tubi, but then sometimes when I watch films, I'm like, I might have liked that a lot more if it just could smoothly move without commercials. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, because I rewatched Possessor on Tubi.
yeah,
And which is funny because I think I own it on Blu-ray. I have a really old Blu-ray player that is like max 1080. Like I'm talking like this thing is a dinosaur. It's like over 15 years old.
yeah,
And so I'm like, there's no point in playing like my nice Blu-rays on it because I can't even watch it in 4K. Um, but yeah, it was like, Possessor is such a bleak ass movie, and it would literally be like something harrowing, and then it would switch to like, do you like bagels? Some
yeah.
stupid commercial like with Instacart. Like it's so
It's like
dumb.
HelloFresh hitting you hard in the
Yeah.
middle of like a true crime podcast. Sometimes where you're like, and that's when the baby was found dead in the dumpster. And the next thing you know, and like, if you need meals right in your fridge, ready to go every night, call
Yeah.
HelloFresh, 10% off true crime or whatever. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so it's for horror, those ads can be like such a like terrible, like awkward pause.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So I watched Bloodhook. I've been wanting to watch, you know, Eddington came out, like I'm dying to see that, but it's not playing at my local theater. So
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you got to go see it. So yeah,
Yeah.
you liked it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely up there for me. Like when I immediately left, I hit up my buddies in the group chat for the monthly
Hmm.
roundtable and stuff, and I was like, I loved it, but it's probably my least favorite just because of like it's not horror and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
as I watch it, I mean, as I haven't seen it again, but I really want to. But as I think about it, I'm like, I don't know, this might be second to Hereditary for me. I like
Oh
really liked
damn.
it, and it was awkward in the theater. I'm not gonna lie, because anybody that knows at least the log line knows it's about COVID and 2020 and the pandemic and stuff. So it's definitely going to be divisive. And not only that, but it's Ari Aster making like a dark comedy about, that stuff. And he
Sure.
does not give either side a break. Like there was
Sure.
literally a lady behind me that was like, within 5 minutes, they're like talking about like there's a guy that goes into a store without a mask and like the whole store is like giving him shit. And
Hmm.
like this small spoiler alert, this literally happens in the first 5 minutes, so it's not like gonna ruin anything for you. But and of course, like Joaquin Phoenix's character is like the sheriff, so he's like he comes in behind the guy when he sees that he's getting shit for like not wearing a mask into the store, and he's like telling everybody like you can't tell the guy no, and they're like, well, it's policy, you know what I mean, and stuff. He's like, yeah, but it's not the law. And the lady behind me was like, you're damn right, you can't make him wear a mask. And I'm just thinking, I'm like,
Oh
shut the
no.
fuck up. I was like, that's the type of person behind me right now. I was like, God, this she got
Yeah,
legit. I won't say what, but there's a part like towards like the like in the third act, and she was legit pissed. I was
I
like,
love it.
yes, I was so happy about it. But no, I loved it, and I've seen some people take it like the wrong way online and really hate on
Mm-hmm.
it and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not what he. But I'm not one of those people that goes online to defend movies. I just like to see what people are saying and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but I personally loved it, and I think that anybody that takes it the wrong way and thinks that he's doing anything that's like really hateful towards anybody. I don't think he really is trying to be hateful. I think he's just trying to like poke fun at like this is how ridiculous we all were at this point, and he does such a
Hmm.
good job with his style of movie, and the cast is just ridiculous. Like I'm kind of Pedro Pascal out, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I'm sure a lot of people are, and it's not because he's a bad actor, but it's just like when you see the same face, it's just like it's really
Oh,
hard to
totally.
like separate them, especially when it's not only that we're getting a lot of them now, but we just got a whole season of The Last of Us with them. So it's not like we just watched movies with them. We watched like 12 hours of the first season, and then
Hmm.
whatever he was in this season. Of course, I don't want to spoil anything of that, but that's kind of been already spoiled publicly, I feel like. But either way, so it's one of those things where it's like I'm just kind of like with him as a lead, I was kind of worried about that being a little bit of a takeaway from, or like a little bit of like put off, but not in the way of like because he's a bad actor, in the way of just kind of
Hmm.
like takes me out of the film. But no, I loved it. It was brilliant. I'm really excited to see what like he does next. But
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it. Yeah, and I think there's so much like weighted expectation these days with Ari Aster too. So like I mean, I could tell from the trailer. I'm like, this is not going to be a horror movie. It's going to be horrific, and a lot of like social commentary that's going to be horrific. But this doesn't feel like it's going to be a horror movie. But I could see people just like, I just want another Hereditary, and I'm like, I don't know. I love Hereditary, but I think Ari Aster is more than just like a horror director. Like I don't think I want to see whatever that dude wants to like make. So
yeah.
so I'm here for it. But
Now, going into Eddington, he was already like my favorite, current filmmaker just with the first three
mm,
films. And then I've said on the podcast in the past, I don't know if I've said it since we started, doing these episodes, but just, in general and stuff like that, I've said that dark comedies are my second favorite to horror. And
mm,
it's like neck and neck. Like I love films like Heathers, But I'm a
sure.
Cheerleader, Ghost World, just Drowning Mona, just like all these, like those are my films that I go to. Greener Grass, just keep shouting them out. So I would even like, there's even a point in the future where I'll probably like pick that as one of our topics, like dark comedies, like top
Hmm.
five or just like five we think are underrated and stuff. So knowing that my favorite horror filmmaker was going and making a dark comedy, and knowing that he already did a great job with a dark comedy with Beau's Afraid, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I was like, man, I really want to see him do one that's a little bit more accessible and actually poking fun at something that's
Yeah.
even more relatable because we just all went through and stuff. And I've even seen people say this is like the most current film ever because they use the internet. They don't shy away from using cell phones to move the story
Oh,
forward.
cool.
And like, there's just so much stuff. And I mean, of course, those people saying that are more mainstream people. Like, they haven't seen films like Superhost, where it's literally about an Airbnb where
Hmm.
people are, what I mean? Like, that shit's current,
Sure, sure,
because it's
sure.
like, but it's at the same time, it's probably one of the biggest like films that don't shy away from like current
Mm.
times or try to tell a story that's like, because like we have current films, but like Jurassic Park takes place, nowadays, but it's science fiction. It's like
Yeah,
nothing in the that's like grounded in realism that also like takes place in current times without taking you
sure.
out to somewhere unfamiliar or this and that. So, did you
No,
see anything else or have any other music or anything? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
oh no. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch anything else new or fun. That was kind of it. Like I've just been um summer's been like busy with freelance, and then like we're ramping up a lot of the Toxic Coffin stuff because we have a show not this weekend but the following weekend in Richmond for the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. So that's like the 9th and 10th.
Oh yeah.
So it's been like full steam ahead trying to like make sure we have everything ready for that. So I'm super excited for that show. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, music wise, mostly just I haven't really listened to like anything new. I've been listening to lately. I think it's just like summer, like summer. I tend to like want to listen to a lot more like pop punk, like influence type stuff, or like Fiddlehead or Title Fight. But I've been
Yeah.
listening to because I love those bands. I've been listening to like, do you listen to Angel Dust? Have you been listening to them at all?
Uh,
Um,
so I haven't been huge on them, but I'm in a dilemma right now because my wife loves them, and
oh,
I say I'm not huge on them, and it's only because I haven't really listened to them. I loved Trapped
sure,
Under Ice and It's Justice from Trapped Under Ice's new band
yeah.
and stuff. So, I definitely like have always had interest, but I like bought one of their records for like it's in my collection, but it's like hers. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like I own some of their stuff, but right now they're slated to come the same day as that Evil Dead show.
Oh,
Uh,
no way. I
yeah,
want to go see the Evil Dead show. I mean, I would love to see Angel Dust, but definitely think I want to see the
Evil Dead
Evil
with the
Dead show
orchestra.
more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when are we going to get a chance to see that?
Yeah,
Um,
Angel Dust will come back around for sure. So,
yeah, totally. So yeah, so I've been listening to them a lot. Listening to there's this band Squint that I've been kind of getting into a little bit more.
oh yeah,
But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I don't know. It's just summer. I want it to be a little more like, I guess like not as heavy,
yeah.
So it's just, so anyways, what about you music wise?
No, that's same here. I've been like trying to dig some stuff that's not so heavy, but for me, it's Benson Boone. People hate on that guy, but I fucking love him. I don't know why. It's like
Mhm.
he's like he's one of the few pop male artists that I actually enjoy. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
shout out Benson Boone.
Speaking of pop artists and new movies, I forgot a movie that I did watch. I watched Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah, hell yeah, that was
And
good.
friggin' Bad Bunny killed the shit out of that movie. He was such a good caddy. I didn't know he was in that movie, and I loved his character. So,
Yeah, and I loved it as well. It was super fun and like I think I shared a meme or whatever that's
mm,
even says it's like it's recycled jokes and nostalgia pulls, blah
yeah,
blah blah blah, and then at the end it's like, but that's exactly what it needed to be and it works perfectly, blah blah blah. That's how I
yeah,
felt. It's like yeah, it recycles a lot of stuff. It even shows a lot of flashbacks from the original movie, but I loved
mm,
it. It was perfect because I mean they're not going to go out and make a movie as good as the original, so to go out and
sure.
make something as good as they did was good for me. But
Yeah, I had fun with it. I mean, I thought the ending, I didn't like the end like golf competition, like the final, showdown as much as I like, the showdown in the original Happy
yeah,
Gilmore. Um, I think it was too like cartoony and absurd. You know what I mean? So it kind of took me out just a little bit because like I didn't like in the original Happy Gilmore, like you are like so on his side to kick Shooter McGavin's ass in
yeah,
golf, because he's such a prick. And in this movie, yeah, the bad guys or whatever, they are douchebags, but like it's so cartoony that you're like, I don't know. It turned into like Good Burger.
yeah.
You know what
No,
I mean? Like,
I
but
agree. That's pretty much my biggest complaint about my only complaint about the film is how cartoony some of the moments were. I was like, the original film like had a few
mm,
moments that were over the top, but except for the long drive, like his crazy drive, it was
mm,
like very grounded in reality. So it was, yeah,
yeah,
that was my only complaint too. But overall though, I enjoyed it and had fun with it. But
yeah. I laughed. There's so many moments that I was like, dude, this is funny as shit. I love it. But yeah, so that was one movie I did watch, not horror related though.
hell yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and rattle off everything else that I've either watched or enjoyed, music wise, just so we can hop into the main event of
Mhm.
Possessor. Of course, I saw Superman, which was excellent. I fucking loved Superman. I do plan to go see Fantastic Four in the next week, even though I just said I was Pedro Pascal out. I still want to see that because I love the Fantastic Four story and what they're doing with
Mhm.
that. But Superman was awesome. Any other movies? Prom Night, Fear Street. I finally watched that.
Oh yeah,
That it was good, but it was very like kind of same thing. It was like it's worth one watch, and then kind of that's it.
sure.
The kills are cool, but other than that, everything else is very forgettable and just formulaic. So I didn't love it. But and then other movies. I think that's all for movies.
Hmm.
Music wise, I listened to the new Clips record. Um,
Mm.
Virginia's Own. So I was,
Oh yeah.
and I really loved, that was awesome. It's probably hip hop record of the year for me as at the moment. And then of course I also listened to the new record from Scalp. They're a band from California, and they're kind of
Hmm.
very. If you like Gulch, you'll probably enjoy Scalp. They just put out a brand
Okay,
new,
cool.
and their new record is super killer. Let me see what it's called. Not worthy of human compassion. Not yeah,
Ooh,
sorry. So,
ooh.
so, yeah, it's that's a good one. End It put out a new single, and then
Hmm.
I've but shout out to the Bad Taste Video dudes, Grizz and Mike. That's a
Hmm.
podcast as well for anybody that doesn't know. And they shout out like bands weekly on their shows, and they
Hmm.
shouted out a band called Grotesquerie, and they're like half from Switzerland, half from Australia, and they just put out a brand new record called Uninhabited Plain, and I gotta say
Hmm.
that's like up there, like it's already locked in top five of the year, but it could definitely be my album of the year. It's an EP, so that kind of takes a few
Okay.
points off for me just because it's like, it's like short and sweet.
Yeah.
But I definitely like I love it. It's like one of the best things I've heard in a while, especially if you like heavier music. So I know I said I've been trying to do the same thing as you, listen to softer stuff, but not really. That's kind of like the in-between stuff that I listen to between all this heavy shit. But Sublime did
Yeah.
put out a new record single finally with Jacob, the
Oh wow.
vocalist, the son of the original vocalist and stuff. And
Mm.
that single was really good. It's called Ensenada, and I really enjoyed that. So other than that, I played some horror video games lately. Started playing Resident Evil Village, and then I beat Poppy's Playtime Chapter 4 finally. So that was all fun. But
Nice, dude.
oh yeah, of course. With all that being said, there's a lot of movies that I still want to get out there and see. Like I
Yeah.
got a long list of shit. Like I'm trying to go actually and pull like a triple double feature one day because
Mm.
we mentioned before we actually started recording, I believe, but we're both excited for Together. That's like a film we're really both stoked for. I want to, which comes out like in 2 days,
Yep.
or yeah, 2 days. And then of course I want to see House of Eden, which is done by two influencers, Call Me Chris and Selena Spooky Boo. Which if you've seen Selena Spooky Boo, it's probably her sleepwalking videos where she like sleepwalks and farts and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. I
Uh,
have seen that. That's so interesting because I wanted to talk to you about a movie that's coming out too. This is called House of Eden. Have
yeah,
you seen the trailer for the new movie coming out called Garden of Eden?
I might have and then just forgot the title because I watch a lot
Oh,
of
dude.
trailers. Like,
But yeah, so what's House of Eden about?
so they in real life, because she's like a medium and stuff, they go out and do a lot of ghost hunting. So what they
Oh
did is
shit.
they shot a film where it's like it's found footage and it's pretty much like them being themselves and going ghost hunting, but they
Hmm.
like make it like into a horror movie in like the third
Oh
act. Like
cool.
it actually like goes further than like so it's like a fictionalized version of what they already do. So and then of course I want to see I Know What You Did Last Summer, and
Hmm.
I did forget to mention, you made me remember when you mentioned watching something old for the first time. I finally
Hmm.
watched Scarecrows. Have you ever seen Scarecrows?
It's been on my list for forever. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's another one that I still haven't seen. I still have never seen oh my God, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Like that's such a like classic, like influenced slasher type, film. And I'm like, I don't know why, I just haven't watched it yet. But
Oh,
I need to.
you
But
definitely
yeah.
just influence a future pick for sure for me because we could
Hell
double
yeah.
feature that, because they remade it, but the remake,
Mhm.
I went to watch and didn't know, but the remake is actually like a sequel. It plays out more like a
Oh,
sequel.
cool.
It's not really like, and they don't promote it like that, so I didn't know that, but I just started watching and I was like, oh shit, like it's like a story that takes place modern day, but the movie and the original, like all that shit exists. Like the movie exists within the
Cool.
new one, so it's really
Nice.
cool. But
Hell yeah.
we'll have to double feature them up one day for sure. But hell yeah, we can dive in today's main event, which is Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor. Do you remember the first time, like what made you choose this film? And do you remember the first time you saw it, kind of like what your overall thoughts were, like leaving after first watch?
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to remember how I came about watching this movie. I think I saw something like a clip for like the trailer, like a teaser or something like that. It was still doing um I think like the festival circuit. Um and saw something about it and then it popped up to watch. I mean, shamelessly, I think I probably like watched a, you know, a rip of it somewhere. But it popped up and I was just like, it was one of those movies that I was just like, holy shit. Like, you know, when you see something and you're like, I, I have to watch this immediately. Like you know, you're like so invested. And there was something so compelling about that. And then of course, like just Cronenberg. I didn't even know he had a son that was like making movies because I hadn't seen Antiviral yet
Yeah.
before. I hadn't even heard of it. So I was like, this sounds incredible. And then also just like love Mandy. And so, you know, Andrea Riseborough, I think that's how you say her last name.
Yeah.
Um, uh, since she was in it, I was like, oh, I love her. She's amazing. Like I need to see this movie instantly. Um, so yeah, I watched it and then it was just one of those movies. Like I watched it like laying on the couch on an iPad or something like that and late at night. And I just remember thinking like, holy shit, this is the best movie I've seen since probably Mandy, you know, or just like any of like some of the Ari Aster movies like Midsummer or Hereditary. Cause it just hit me and it was late at night. You know, my wife doesn't typically stay up and watch horror movies with me. And it was like, I just had to like process that film and go to bed. And then like for an entire week, I was like, I can't stop thinking about this crazy ass movie. So yeah, I love it. It was just one of those movies like this is a movie that's gonna like, in my opinion, be something that like horror fans are gonna look back on, you know, years down the road and be like, yeah, this movie is it, you know. At
Yeah.
least for me, it's a perfect film in my opinion. So, but
Hell yeah. Now it's kind of same for me as far as like I don't remember exactly like what the promotion was that I saw. I think I
mhm,
like I mentioned, you know, when we were talking about like when you mentioned Garden of Eden, I was like I probably have watched a trailer because
mhm,
I follow multiple production companies just
mhm.
because they post their own trailers. I follow Rotten Tomatoes trailers, not because I like Rotten Tomatoes, fuck Rotten Tomatoes, but because they post trailers pretty like pretty like quickly, you know what I mean? Like usually
Sure.
within like 30 minutes they were posted on their site as well. And then I even get like will randomly just go to IGN if it's something like if I know like this past weekend Comic-Con was going on and IGN is usually somebody that's there posting stuff like really quickly on that, you know. So I was like paying attention to them like all weekend and they don't just post video games, you know, even
Mhm.
though a lot of people like associate IGN with video games, they post movie trailers and stuff too. So no, I like
Sure.
really paid like close attention to just trailers and watch them all the time. So I think it was randomly one of those things where same thing. I've never saw, I still haven't to this day seen Antiviral to be honest with you. And it's mostly just
Mhm.
because it hasn't popped up like I've never been like looking through streaming for something to watch and there it
Sure.
is, you know what I mean? So I just haven't sought it out, but I kind of want to now because I've, you know, between this and Infinity Pool, I'm definitely a Brandon Cronenberg fan.
Mhm.
Got to be specific with that one, but
Sure.
but it was one of those nepotism things to be honest with you. That's what led me to watch this film is well, of course the trailer was intriguing, but I was like, damn, this dude has the balls to not only step into directing, but he's doing the same
Mhm.
style as his father, you know,
Yeah.
like technology-based body horror and stuff like that. And it's so I was like, the fact that he has the balls to do that, as well as like, you know, let's see if it's one of those things where it's like you know, the quote, like he's his father's son. Like it's
Mhm.
like, let's see if it's one of those, you know, and it's like he fucking definitely is. Not only like he knocked it completely out of the park with Possessor, and I was
Yeah.
immediately like, damn, dude, like you got to have balls to follow up to your father and like go into his niche and
Yeah.
stuff and like try to do something. And the fact that he not only did it, but was a lot of people's favorite film of 2020, and to
Mhm.
kind of like he capped off a year that was rough for movies because a lot of stuff
Yeah.
wasn't coming out because of the pandemic that year. You know, kind of going back to Eddington in a way, but
Mhm.
like that was the year of the pandemic, and there was a lot of good stuff that came out that year, but it was a lot of drive-in based films and. Like we had to wait for streaming to see a lot of that. Like, no,
Sure.
I don't know anybody in my circle that saw Possessor in theaters. You know what I mean? Like, so I absolutely loved this film. I think I found it. I think it was one of those that I paid to rent it, like,
Mhm.
because they put it out like on streaming pretty quickly because of that, and that's how I
Yeah.
saw it and stuff. But no, there were some solid films that year, but like this is to me like the pinnacle of kicking off this decade because this decade has been
Mhm.
so fucking good so far, like the 2020s, and I feel
I agree.
like this is one of the biggest films to like be at that forefront in the 2020 in the year 2020. Like you have stuff like this, His House, The Dark and the Wicked. I think The Wretched came out that year and like
Mhm.
was doing really good, which I really like The Wretched for anybody that hasn't checked it out. That's on Hulu, and a lot of these films are just sitting on Hulu and stuff right now to watch
Mhm.
now. So no, I didn't. 2020 was such a strong year and this was definitely like one of the films that really had me excited for like you know just the future of horror in general just because of you get it so immediately you know from the style and stuff like that
Mhm.
you know you get you get that you're in for a very stylistic film from the rip with like the first kill and all the stuff that you
Oh yeah.
see. And what was some of your favorite stuff like from the like? Sorry, my cat's being destructive. I'll say.
You monster. I
What's
love
a
the ca- I
right?
love the
Yeah,
cat cameos. They're the best.
I know. I need to have a cat cam, like one that just cuts this. Like,
That'd be so good.
but what's some of your favorite stuff about like the beginning and like what's the first thing that like because for me like I'm kind of intrigued by the very opening scene, where she's going through all the emotions and then it moves on
Yeah.
immediately into the stylistic stuff. When was the like? Do you remember the first moment that the film like truly grabbed you and you were like, "Fuck, I'm in for like a solid film"?
So I think the movie, and of course, heavy spoilers, but like I
Oh
think the
yeah, definitely.
movie, I'm always super captivated by a film that like just throws you right in the middle without like having like a nice like bow to like here's so and so character, here's so and so, this is their house, this is their lives, and this is what they do. I mean, this just you immediately are in like thrown into her world of, and 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 the tone, I think I immediately was struck by like the tone of the film. uh the audio in it is really great, like definitely like hands off to whoever did all the sound design and like the score for this film, because I mean I love a good dystopian like Black Mirror-esque, techno futuristic kind of like dreadful film, and it's like so perfect.
Yeah,
And so immediately I'm drawn in by this. And and then you get the whole like hit scene, and I'm confused, like I don't get it yet, which is great. Like I love that I don't know what's happening, because then the payoff is so much better. So then like you're like, okay, like it seems like it's gonna be some like clearly is like a hitman kind of situation. And then she just stabs the fuck out of the dude and just goes ham. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
yeah,
Uh, he is so murdered. And then like it just gets so tense, and she can't pull the trigger, gets shot by the cops, and then like immediately goes into like, oh, this is like some crazy brain implant, like super secretive, tech hitman service, and instantly I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like I can't stop watching this movie because now I'm just like obsessed with figuring out what all this is. Um so yeah, that was, I mean, just the beginning right away. And it's like she I think it's like she died, the hit, dies, and then it immediately shows her coming out of like the chamber, and it's like Possessor, and she's all like, like messed up from being, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So and then it's such a stark yellow title screen too. So like a title screen always sells usually a movie for me, and it hits so perfectly.
yeah.
So yeah, so as soon as that happened, I was just like, yeah, I kind of love this movie. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, kind of piggyback on something that you mentioned with like the visceral like kill that she does, like how bloody it is. And I also love the fact that we immediately know we're getting practical effects throughout the
Oh
film
yeah.
right there because how practical that is. But no, that like stark contrast of like something so bloody and visceral after seeing like these very beautiful visuals immediately with like
Hmm.
all these servers and these matching blue like
Hmm.
outfits that are very futuristic and awesome, and then this very like yellow golden looking building that's so like awesome. So you get to see all like this very futuristic and very like perfect, pristine stuff, and then all of a sudden you see
Hmm.
somebody get slaughtered on that floor. It's like no, it's like a perfect contrast. And then you also already get to see the struggle that she deals with when she's going in. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
because if you go into this film already knowing the log line, it helps. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we at least know that it's like about somebody that hops. Around the bodies and stuff. So you know that there's somebody else in that mind already. And if you don't, then you find out very soon. But so once you know that, it's like the fact that she like is supposed to just kill herself and ends up having to kind of do
Hmm.
unaliving by cop. I know YouTube doesn't like that word,
Mm.
and I don't really censor. We don't censor ourselves at all, but I guess I'll
Sure.
try the one word I can censor onto that. But
Fair
so
enough.
unaliving by cop, you know what I mean? So where she's supposed to do, unaliving by herself. So it's one of those things where you immediately you get so much information in such a quick scene, but it's also
Hmm.
like you also get such a feel for like what kind of film you're in for. And
Yeah.
I can definitely see where like this isn't for every horror fan because
No.
it is like slower and it's very like you have to like I know a lot of people that hate on some of Cronenberg's stuff and I feel like it's
Mhm.
because when you're watching these films you have to buy into everything into their world. Like you can't watch these films and be like that's not realistic. That's not the point. The
Yeah.
whole point is everything in this film is going to be heightened in some, but it's not in a
Mhm.
campy way where a lot of horror
Sure.
fans are used to. It's more in a way of like Blade Runner. Like people don't watch Blade Runner or Total Recall or
Mhm.
RoboCop. They don't watch those films and they're like, "Oh fuck, that can never happen." You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, these
Yeah.
movies are awesome." And it's kind of the same thing you have to have with like, you have to just like expand your belief to like these. It's like more of like a science fiction film that has like the horror aspect, in
Mhm.
it than anything. But no, I love that opening and stuff like that. But
Oh, it's so sick. And I think you mentioned something too about like the sci-fi aspect of this, but this film does such a good job of also, yes, it's like a dystopian future, but it's not so far off from our own world. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like the technology, like I will say like with and this is kind of a question that I kind of had for you was like, with Brandon Cronenberg's visual style and directing and everything, like how do you compare him to his father? Because he does such a good job of like, you know, rising up to what his father has done. But I do think he has like his own style, like
yeah,
he's not just ripping off what his dad does. Like if this was his dad's film, all of the technology would be like more like biological, you know what I mean? Like weird like body parts that are tech and stuff like this. Like I feel like Brandon Cronenberg does more of like the psychological body horror, you know, that his father didn't. I mean, his father definitely touched on some of that stuff, but this was definitely, I feel like his movies like Antiviral and Infinity Pool is so much more like the brain is like detaching and like dealing with that kind of, how that has a physical, you know, body horror, So I don't
yeah.
know. So yeah, is there anything else that you feel like watching this movie like stylistically feels different than his father's movies at all?
Exactly that. I feel like he's more
Mhm.
grounded in a reality to where it's like this could happen in 20 years max, and
Sure.
where like for instance films like Crimes of the Future feel like and and that's kind of what I compare this film to mostly just because it
Sure.
came out around the same time. But I know it's like when you go to David Cronenberg, you do have to go further back and stuff. But as far as like stuff like Crimes of the Future, like that feels like maybe thousands of years away. Like it
Hmm.
could happen, but so it's like it is this more like realistic feel to his movies. Even Infinity Pool doesn't feel necessarily in our reality, but it does feel like maybe for like those people that
Hmm.
live in that separate world of have that, that tax bracket, like it's
Sure.
still, so even though he mixes some sci-fi horror, kind of like to me, David Cronenberg stuff feels more akin to stuff like maybe Scanners or Videodrome, where they're
Hmm.
very like they are grounded in reality and technology that we are dealing with like
Sure.
currently. Maybe not Scanners because I guess that goes with like telekinesis and like that goes a little further with the supernatural aspect and
Sure.
stuff. But something like Videodrome, where it's more like, like it's just like commentary on the technology and stuff like that, that's exactly one thing I think that Brandon Cronenberg does different than his father is the
Hmm.
way he says so much without showing or saying that
Hmm.
much at all. And where David Cronenberg I feel like shows you like a lot, but it's just like in
Hmm.
a weird way. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
he like really hammers the thing home where it's to where Brandon Cronenberg, I feel like when he's like telling you something, like for instance, with this film, there's like two ways you can, or just a lot of ways you could take the message,
Hmm.
but like you can look at Possessor and take it as a story of somebody that's really just buys into their work so much that they lose themselves into their jobs and are no longer
Hmm.
like their identity is their work. Or you could take it as somebody who is a sociopathic killer
Hmm.
who is using any kind of excuse to kind of become the person that they're supposed to be anyways, especially
Hmm.
after they fucked with those tendencies. And like there's so many other ways to go with it. And I feel like with this film, that's one thing is there's no like point where it's like somebody's just saying these things or doing these things. And
Hmm.
David Cronenberg's good at like doing the same thing, but I feel like there's just so many like scenes where he like hammers it home, you know what I mean, with like
Hmm.
the TV remote in Videodrome, or
Sure.
in The Fly, where he literally says like like kill me, or like he's asking to die, or like I don't know, it's just all these different things,
Hmm.
where I feel like in this film it's like there's no dialogue that truly says what's happening. Like you literally just pick it up, and like the beginning and ending scene with like the butterfly stuff, which we'll get into a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
later, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, David Cronenberg, like it's definitely more like a direct um uh delivery,
yeah.
of the message usually, which is cool. There's so many like rad lines and stuff like that from his films. But like even like one of my absolute favorite things about this movie is the whole like data miming or data mining like Colin's character, that he has to go to work and he just watches like people's like phones and webcams, and like basically like it's the epitome of you know targeted marketing, digital marketing, and they're all just watching people's cameras, and like you get that crazy bedroom scene that I was not
Right.
ready for. And I was like, "Oh damn, they went there." Um but I mean, that whole commentary on just like how like crazy the corporate world will go to like, figuring out all of our habits and our behaviors just to sell us something, like, but they don't even talk about that in the movie. That is not even like, there's no like, oh, like this is happening and like, oh yeah, we, like, haha, we're what, like it's such a like background element in the film, but it has such a heavy impact, like, so
Yeah.
that's kind of also like, after I watched that movie, I was like, there's so many like insane uh social messages in this movie without, like you said, literally saying anything about it. It's just like you have to like accept it. And yeah, it's wild. Um, and I love Tessa's character. Um, I love that she's like basically she's like an anti-hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're on her side, but also like she's a killer. Like, so that whole aspect is it. I'm curious what your thoughts are on her character. Like, do you view her as like a villain, or do you view her as a victim in this movie? Like what is she to you?
Well, that's one of the things that makes me again love this film, is the
Mm.
ambiguity, like in every moment almost, because like uh we're not gonna nitpick this to death, but we could.
Sure.
Like we could sit like I would love to like actually sit and watch this film with somebody, like especially like
Mm.
you and me, that especially after having this conversation, because we already know a couple of like thoughts from each other, so it's easier to
Sure.
be like asking questions and stuff. But I would like to sit down and actually watch this film with somebody that loves it as well,
Hmm.
with the plan to talk about it, because there's so many moments where it's like, is she driving the body, is he driving the
Hmm.
body? And it's like, and it's so many small moments, you know what I mean, and like different theories you could have, and this and that. So this film is ripe for conversation, and it's from moment like one to the very end of the film. So
Hmm.
no, that's one thing I do love about this film. But I'm with you. It's I mean, I'm to answer your question, I mean, I don't I guess I would say that she's the villain,
Hmm.
because to me that's what it plays, that's what I feel like from the very beginning. Is I feel like she the from and I kind it kind of helps, and this is a film that again benefits from multiple watches, because
Yeah.
watching it this time I immediately wanted to pay attention to those aspects, because that's the main point of like conversation, is like what's who's doing this at this moment and why. And
Sure.
so like at the very beginning when she kills, when she's in the female's body and she kills like the rich guy, she chooses to stab him to death. And even the
Hmm.
main girl played by Jennifer Jason Leigh at like the headquarters, like even ask her like, why'd you stab her when you
Yeah.
had a perfectly good gun or whatever. And it's like the moment when she stabs her, it shows her hand and she like rubs the blood like
Mhm.
very sensually and stuff. And then a few moments, like, and then a few, like, once she goes home and she's doing all the stuff and she's like having intimate sex with her husband,
Yeah.
she's like sitting there so lifeless until she like thinks of the blood and like
Yeah.
that moment. And then she starts like really getting into it and stuff. So to me, I feel like it's one of those things where she's a sociopathic
Hmm.
killer. And the reason I say sociopathic is because of some of the like ways she puts herself above, like, she can't kill herself. Like, she can never pull the trigger
Yeah.
on herself. So she matters to herself too much, but nobody else does. And that's why I say like socio instead of like psychopathic and stuff. And so for me, it's like she's one of those people that I think she's the villain, and it's one of those things that she's just trying to separate herself. Like she wants to separate herself, and it
Mm,
could be again. It could be like that's why I said like you could go with it being somebody just getting so lost in their work that it's one of those
hmm.
things that maybe if she didn't do this job, she would never be this person. But
Sure.
they do give those hints and stuff that make it seem like those are decisions made by her personally and because of how
Mm.
she enjoys like the thrill of the kill more than the job is. Like
Oh yeah.
it's not about the money, it's about what she gets to do, for
Totally. And you could get so heady with this movie. Like I love the scenes where she's rehearsing like what she's gonna say and how she delivers it, like even with her own family. And she's sitting outside, their apartment or flat or whatever, and she's like trying to figure out the tone she wants to take when she does have the confrontation with them.
you know,
And which also like you could view all of that as like how much do we as humans uh like try to live by a certain perception that we want to live by. Again, getting all woo woo. But it's like, this movie could literally be like just another like analogy for like, oh yeah, like are we our true self ever, because we're so influenced by either our work, what we want to do, what we want to achieve by our goals, like what is the root of our true self? And I think that's what's like makes this movie scary is like it kind of like dives into that because I mean she's living through a like visceral psychological uh situation where she is dissolving from who she is and what she is, so it's crazy.
yeah.
But
And of course, I don't want to skip the whole middle. We can like dive back and talk about some
mm,
scenes and stuff, of course. But no, that brings up like to me the ending is where it like lines up perfectly because
oh yeah.
that's where it makes it so confusing because of like who she is. And they show some of the scenes and visuals. Like my favorite visual of the whole film is when he's like choking her. Like when so there's from the moment in the film where he kills the mission is played out where he kills the fiance's dad, but then he can't
Mhm.
pull the trigger on himself once again, and so he
Yep.
goes back to his hotel or his flat or whatever, his apartment, I guess would be, and then a guy shows up from his work and says, "Hey, I work for this company as well, and I'm here to reset you." Blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, he's hiding out at her friend's apartment that he's like definitely having an affair with or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
the
that.
girl
Yeah.
from Letterkenny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I know. So like when he goes back and resets and all that, that scene where it's pretty much like him choking her and then all of a sudden he grabs her head and like it pops and
Mm.
it becomes a mask and he puts it on. And like
Oh.
that whole scene is very confusing because to me that's the moment where he completely takes over. She's gone like she's in the passenger seat having to watch everything that happens.
Hmm.
But then when they get to the house at the end and all the stuff that she's doing and it starts showing her acting it out, you start to like really like have second thoughts and be like, well, wait a minute, is that
Hmm.
her like trying to play tricks on her own mind to tell herself that
Sure.
like she's not killing her family when really she's doing what she so it's just one of those things where especially where the finale of the film, to kind of call back to what I mentioned earlier, to kind of just go ahead and touch on that, where
Hmm.
at the very beginning, when she gets pulled out and she's put through like tests to just make sure she
Hmm.
is still herself, she's asked about killing a butterfly when she's a child, and she hesitates, but she says that she feels bad about it.
Hmm.
And so now at the end of the film, she's asked those same questions, and she no longer feels bad about it, and it's almost like she's gone full, you know,
Yeah.
like killer and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
uh so it's one of those things where that's where it makes the ending so ambiguous, and that's what I love about this film is there's so
Oh
much
yeah.
like we could talk for hours about the ending and not come up with something like 100% definite
Sure.
because there's no like definite answer with it. It was like
But
who's really
but
driving the
to me I felt like that was a definite answer, and it was done so subtly, like it was like chef's kiss, like the way that she says the same thing, like, oh yeah, this is a butterfly that I killed as a kid, and but doesn't deliver the like, yeah, and I feel bad. Like she doesn't have empathy anymore, and she doesn't do it like it's not even held in a long enough time, like because she could still say that line the way because it happens pretty quick, but it's like her facial expression. You instantly know, like, oh no, she doesn't. She's completely changed now, and it's cheesy, but like a butterfly, like that's such a like symbolic imagery, like butterflies go through the metamorphosis and it's like you go from a caterpillar and you're in a cocoon, like how it seems like it's pretty gnarly, as far as like, can you imagine being a caterpillar, then you get into a cocoon and your whole body changes?
Yeah,
Like that's got to be crazy. I can't even imagine what that's like, you know? So anyways, that just symbolism together is like, it's so nice. I don't know. This
yeah.
movie it's awesome. It's so good. I love it.
But
But
no, to kind of like poke back at that, the like
mm,
like I said, it's like I feel like you can't be too definitive. Is like
sure.
with that saying that it's like yeah she is detached now, but you could say it's because he killed the last
Mm,
attachment she had to human life with her son and with her son gone. She don't give a that was the last person she gave a fuck about, like you could
true.
say, you know what I mean? So but I'm with you. I do that's in my opinion, I agree with what you think too. I
Hmm.
think that in the end I feel like he was driving the car. Like I feel like he was trying to. I feel like he took over long enough to be like, "Watch me kill your family," but
Hmm.
couldn't do it because he's not a killer. But
Sure.
she is, and when she got in that position, she was like, took the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the whole
Hmm.
time she knew that if he found out, I feel like she played that trick on him on purpose now that I'm thinking
Hmm.
about it, where she was like, I'm gonna let you have my memories and stuff, so you think you're about to get me, but
Hmm.
really you're just taking care of the one thing I haven't been able to do without it being so. Because if she just is like, hey, by the way, while I'm in this body, let me go kill my family, I'm sure the company would be
Oh,
like, well, we could get in trouble for that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
HR might have a problem. So no, I could see where she like used that as like a let me
Oh,
fuck with
totally.
this guy and like push him to this limit, let him get me there, and then I'll take care of it for him because it does not switch.
Mm.
Because like every time we see her up until she actually is killing her husband, and like we see her again, it's always him with the mask on of her. So it's almost
Hmm.
like that's why it makes me think it's him with her memories,
Hmm.
but still driving the vehicle. So that's why like I feel like there is a switch there, but she does take back over when the murder actually because he can't do it. You know what I mean? Because he's not
Yeah.
a killer. So
I like the whole like not being able to discern whether or not like how much of Colin's personality is kind of remaining there. Um, and I was kind of I was hoping that this go around I was going to get more clarity of like why she struggled with um, taking over Colin more. Because it seemed like there was some issue with that in this one. She clearly wasn't like immediately like just driving the ship quite well. And I don't know if that's because like I don't know, I thought it'd be kind of funny because he's like a cokehead and stuff like that. Like maybe he's like his mind isn't right for that. Um, but the other aspect of the film that I never actually thought about until this last go around was how much potentially the company is trying to manipulate Voss into being do like taking out her family.
yeah,
Like maybe it's the company because like Girder comes in and she's clearly uh driving is it the son? Like she's plugged into somebody. I don't think you know who it is necessarily. I think it's the son. But like kind of made me wonder like because there's a scene where in the beginning where she talks about like her family, like, oh, I need to talk, like I've been talking with Michael, like I need some time, you know, and Girder's like, remember you guys are separated, like so they're clearly like she's like trying to make sure like stop making contact with your family, because that is a problem. That's a link, they need her to be a hitman and unattached to anything. Like if she's going to be the true Jason Bourne, you know, uh, she needs to be completely detached. So, but yeah, I don't know. So this go around, I kind of had a feeling it's like, oh, maybe this tech company that, does these hits, maybe it's really them that tried to like push her beyond for this specific hit just so she really could become like the ultimate killer.
yeah.
So I don't know, but
No, I definitely agree, and that's one thing I never like really thought about when watching the film on rewatch is who sabotages this jump?
mhm,
Like, is it because Christopher Abbott's character is like way too strong, like strong mentally, as in he's way too like wacky, like out of order mentally that she can't
mhm,
take a grasp on his life. You know what I mean? Because he's like cheating on his, he's such a like you said, he does drugs, he cheats, he
mhm.
fucking hates everybody, like he hates his. He's treated like shit by his father-in-law and has to do like
Yeah,
remember that girl makes the comment about like doing grunt work pretty much. Like people hate that
yeah,
job and shit. And so it's like, is it because he's so like wacky or is it because she is struggling with like her psychopathicness and stuff? But it's
mhm.
but I'm with you. Like now that you mentioned that, I think that's exactly what it is. It seems like Vaughn and those like the industry or whatever is the one that sabotages it because they're
Hmm.
trying to, like they want her to crack and finally become the perfect possessor, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word and stuff. So no, I definitely feel like it's them that does it. And that's one thing about this film is there's so much to still discover as you watch it over and
Hmm.
over again, and like definitely like the small details and
Sure.
this and that. And I will say though that like this was the first time I'd ever discovered Christopher Abbott. Like I'd never seen him in anything, and now he's the type of person that I'll watch a film if he's the lead. Like I didn't love Wolfman, but he was still
Hmm.
great in it and stuff. And
Sure.
he was in this film called Piercing. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it was based on a
I
book.
didn't.
It's based on a book by Ryu Murakami, the same guy that wrote Audition, and of course, they made the movie Audition.
Yep.
And it's about him. He is a guy that's like goes out. He goes to a hotel room one night. Literally, the movie like starts immediately with like this, and he
Hmm.
goes to a hotel room and orders a prostitute with intentions to kill her because he wants to commit murder,
Hmm.
but he struggles with it, and like the whole movie is
Sure.
like about that. So no, I
Interesting.
really recommend Piercing if you haven't seen it, and it's it's fun. You know what I mean? It's like a fun sex thriller, I guess. So like sexy, you know what I mean?
Just
It's
one of
not,
those fun sex thrillers.
yeah, it's not really like I say sex. I said sex and then wanted to switch it to sexy because it's not like there's
Sure.
like I think there's maybe like like 20 seconds of like them starting to get intimate or something.
Sure.
Like there's not like sex in the movie, but it's very like erotic thriller. Even that sounds
Sleazy.
like too much. Yeah, it's sleazy, I
All right.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, it's like what is it? Basic instinct in films
Yeah,
like
like
that.
Dress to
Yeah.
Kill. Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like The Promise or yeah, shit. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, where it's very like just like sex driven, but not like there's not a lot of sex in the movie type thing.
Sure. Totally.
But
Um, yeah, no, I mean this movie just has so much to unpack, I feel like. And you're right, like every time you watch it, it's cool. Um, one of the other things I was thinking about too with this movie, because it is so viscerally violent, um, I remember hearing people like, and not even just this movie, but like I think in other films, like you hear a lot of times like the commentary, like does it need that much violence, you know? Um, and I'm so desensitized to like a lot of movie violence and stuff nowadays, but like this is a movie where I feel like I would defend it in the same way that I defend like Martyrs, like
yeah.
it needs that. Like I feel like the way that she murders people like is like the rage coming out that's inside her that matches like how she feels and like her struggle and stuff like that. So I feel like it's like a release that is important. You know what I mean? Um, which I think drives this movie. So, but yeah,
No,
you need the blood.
I 100% agree because like without those moments, like the only other scene honestly in the movie that I would want to mention just because it's so awesome and because we talked about practical
Hmm.
effects is when Christopher Abbott commits the murder finally he's supposed to. He
Hmm.
like beats the fuck out of that dude with a fire poker and then like stabs him in the throat and like surprisingly he lives. You see a scene later on where it says that he lives or
Yeah,
whatever, but
I don't know how.
yeah, it's like but and that's Sean Bean I think the one that was uh
Oh yeah, he's been
Lannister or
in.
whatever from fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, they made this the darkest font on the black background. I can't read. Yep, Sean Bean. Yeah. So yeah. So pretty much like they already had, like and that's another thing is just like the cast is rounded out so perfectly. Like with
Hmm.
him, Jennifer Jason Leigh on like the back end of like Christopher Abbott and Andrea
Yeah.
Riseborough giving like great performances. This is another one that could have been. Some of the acting could have got Oscar noms when we did the
Oh
Oscar snubs,
yeah.
but no, like that scene where he beats the shit out of him and stuff is just like I love those visceral, very practical, like realistic
Hmm.
looking kills on top of like this very beautiful, like everything's beautiful. Like they're in this nice pristine mansion that's everything's
Hmm.
like pearl, the countertops and just
Hmm.
everything like it's same thing with the beginning scene where they're in this very beautiful like backdrop and even at the end when she like murders her husband like which is the most brutal kill of them all like in my opinion there's blood everywhere in that scene it's still
Yeah.
like this nice family home kitchen and stuff in it so it just I love that it plays like these murders in like on top of like these very beautiful
Hmm.
like places you wouldn't usually typically see this type of violence you know what I mean so it makes it like helps heighten that reality you know what I mean to where like as we grow with
Hmm.
technology and stuff like that the crime is going to grow up into areas that like you don't typically see it because people are able to get there where they couldn't before like because of security you're not usually able to get to somebody in like that nice of a place and stab them to death where that girl was
Yeah.
like serving and all of a sudden stabbed the fuck out of them and stuff so
Hmm.
no, it's that's one thing I really like about this film, and I feel like it does drive the story forward. Unlike something like,
Sure.
as much as I love Terrifier, like, and those films are for that. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to
Totally.
compare the two. So like, definitely any Terrifier fans, don't turn us off. Like, I love Terrifier, and I'm excited for four and stuff. But I'm just saying, uh, like a scene that's 10 minutes could be 8 minutes. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to the
Yeah.
story. You know what I mean? It's just like it is what it is because that's what the fans are there to see. And so
Hmm.
like but with Possessor, to me, I feel like it does matter truly
Hmm.
to the story of those scenes, and they're not gratuitous, you know what I mean? Where a film like Terrifier, or even like the Hatchet films, I love the Hatchet films too, but like
Sure.
those are all to play for like a joke or to be gratuitous on purpose. To where this is not gratuitous, it's really just trying to play on. It just plays realistically, and because of that,
Hmm.
it ends up extra like bloody or
Oh,
visceral and stuff like that. So,
totally. Yeah. Which was there a scene that you disturbed you the most of the film?
this film, I would say, I don't. I think the one that probably got I wouldn't say like disturbed me because
Sure.
because like mentioned in Terrifier, like we watch that shit like on the regular. So it's like like again, it's being desensitized. But I would say the scene that to me was the most like ugh was probably like the one that I was like a little Quincy like quench my butt cheeks a little bit was probably the dad, and like when he's like
Yeah.
just, and it's not even the stab in the throat, it's when he's just beating the shit out of him with it, because I'm like just like thinking about like getting hit with that and still being conscious after like that many hits is like painful. Like that's one thing that gets me in film
Hmm.
sometimes, is when somebody's being beat and they're obviously still alive, like to go back to Terrifier just because we're already talking about it. But in
Hmm.
Terrifier 2, when like the girl's getting hacked up in the bedroom scene and she's like, "Mom," the fact that she's still
Yeah.
alive is what makes that whole scene for me. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like the same thing with this, the fact that he's getting beat with a fire poker while he's like already in so much pain and like this and that
Hmm.
is like oh, like after three whacks, you're like, all right, how many more? Like,
Yeah.
so no,
Yeah.
but it again, it stays like realistic. It never reaches that point of like that felt gratuitous or
Yeah. I think I mean, it was part of the same scene, but the one, or not, actually, it was this end scene with when she goes to the family, and it's when the son
oh yeah,
stabs in the neck, and you're not expecting it, um but there's something that it was just like it just goes in the skin so like softly and easily. It's just like, and it's just like, and I was just like, I don't know. There's something about that felt like, and of course, like the weight of it's the sun,
yeah,
like, and then instantly the sun gets shot in the head. Like I knew the sun was gonna get shot, and she fires it, and I was like, oh, that kid's dead. But then they showed it's like a bullet in the head, and I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah,
yeah.
let's kill more kids in movies. This is crazy.
I think
You
it's
don't
like in
get to
his
sleep.
chest. I don't think it's in his head, but
Was it his chest? I swear he has. I'll have to go back and look now. I gotta
yeah.
rewatch it again. I thought he had a bullet
I'd
hole
be
in his head.
surprised if they put it in his head just because.
I thought it was. I need to go back and look now. But anyways, but yeah, it was. I mean, that whole scene just had so much more weight to it, because
Yeah.
of the kills and the implication of the family and everything. But yeah, yeah. What a the happy film.
When it plays on a realistic bone too, like thinking about it,
Yeah.
like not saying my kid's a psychopath that will stab me, but they're naive and don't know. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, say they did see you like stabbing your dad, like
Sure.
that could be an instance where they might stab you. But I'm just saying, like, because like you said, it goes in with such ease
Hmm.
that like say a kid did that to you thinking that they were playing, like, because they're so like young and like naive and don't know, like say they accident
Hmm.
like say you stupid, like it would be your fault for leaving the knife out. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, like, say a
Sure.
kid accidentally did get a knife and stabbed you with it. It's like so there's like some weird realism to it that doesn't feel like that could never happen. You know what I mean? So no,
Hmm.
definitely I understand where you're coming from on that one. That's the one thing that got to me about it, is I was just thinking about the fact that it's like, damn, like because it was the kid, I was like, that could be like, yeah. Once you
Hmm.
find out it's what's her name, like jumping in and stuff like that, Vaughn, because
Yeah.
that, like you mentioned earlier, that's the scene where she like jumps in and takes over, the son and stuff, is that final scene. But
Yeah.
it makes you kind of wonder, like, so my final question for you before we wrap it up, and of course, if you have anything else you want to touch
Hmm.
on, the scene where you see the two battling, you see Christopher Abbott battling uh Andrea Riseborough,
Hmm.
and when he wakes up, the two people are dead in the apartment,
Yeah.
and he sees the memory of his body doing it, but you don't see like anything about Andrea Riseborough. Do you think in that moment when that guy came in that he let Vaughn take over Christopher Abbott for a second, and then Christopher Abbott killed those two people, or Vaughn killed those two people to drive Christopher Abbott's character to get the revenge. Because like we talked about,
Yeah.
like it seems like she was the reason that like like everything seemed to be like pushing
Mhm.
him to go towards the family, even though he's not a killer. So it doesn't make sense that he would kill the person trying to help him, but it also
Mhm.
doesn't make sense that Angela Riseborough would kill the guy trying to help her completely take over if her mission wasn't done with what she wanted to do. You know what I mean? And also
Yeah.
Vaughn, like at that point, she'd already done what she was supposed to do and killed the old man or whatever. So Vaughn wouldn't send somebody in to help her take back over. She would probably send
Mhm.
somebody in to help her get the fuck out. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that Vaughn stepped in and like you said, like it helps like your theory of like Vaughn creating this perfect like killing machine pretty
Mhm.
much. And like so in that aspect, when you don't see anybody driving the human vehicle, do you think it might have been Vaughn that stepped in and like took care of those two?
I think it's plausible for sure. I mean, I think yeah, I mean that's the beauty of this film is like you could never actually know who is supposed to be who. And also what makes this such a captivating like take on a possession story is the idea like, oh, like anybody could be taken over.
Yeah.
Like it's like a perfect like conspiracy theory, crazy like mind melding, yeah, spycraft type film. Like you just are like, oh, damn, like yeah, who could it be? Which just makes it that much more compelling. Um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. This last go around, I really think a lot of it is the company pushing it, like, and especially there's like the scene where she's talking about the next hit and she gets like schoolgirl giddy, like, oh, like this is a big one and I need my
Yeah.
best, agent on this. And she's like all excited, like this all means nothing. Like it's fun for her, which is hilarious, Um, yeah, I don't know, crazy. I think it could be. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
have a direct answer, but I have all the reason to say yes. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
but
and I'm with you. It's like she finally gets to see her perfect machine in action now that it's like over with and stuff. So she's so excited, even more excited than
yeah,
typically.
she's like a toy for her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, it's crazy. Um, yeah, the only other question I had about this was more, so I have, it's kind of like two questions. One, because this one question gets maybe like more bleak and dark about the actual world. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so what if this technology like actually existed, like what companies or industries or government, like who do you think would use this first in real life?
I think this would be something that's like Epstein like
Yeah.
style. Like it definitely would be under wraps. Like we are not in attack. We wouldn't even know about it. Like this
No.
reminds me of like the elite hunting
Mhm.
group from like Hostel. You know what I mean? Where it's
Totally.
like even if I'm not mistaken, I was listening to a podcast the other day talk about Hostel. I think it was Bad Taste video actually
Mhm.
that I referenced it at the beginning of the show, but they even mentioned how they read something that I think it was on IMDb, which people can edit IMDb, so it
Mhm.
might be fake, but it was saying that Eli Roth started Hostel as like a documentary on those like underground killing groups,
Oh,
and then he was
sure.
like, maybe I shouldn't go asking people that kill
Yeah.
people for a living questions about killing people. So
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
he like decided not to do it and made the movie instead, which
Mhm.
in my opinion, I don't know if that's true because Eli Roth is a horror fan and that makes
Mhm.
horror movies, so I could see it just being a horror movie to begin with. But
Sure.
I can still see the truth in there being that he knew about these real things and made a movie about it. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's just like that, where like if this could happen, there would be groups that used it and
Mhm.
and did it and stuff like that. We just would never ever know about it. It would
No.
just become conspiracy theories and stuff. And now that this movie's come out, it would definitely be easier to like anybody that created the conspiracy theory would just be like, "Oh, you're just talking about the movie Possessor," and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. I agree with you. And then the second phase of this question would be uh in not a nefarious way, if you had to be an agent possessing somebody, but it's you can only use this technology for like more lighthearted, fun purposes, even if it's a prank, what would you do? Like who would you possess and what would be your what would you do for however long 24 hours that you're in somebody's body? Like what havoc would you wreak in a non horrible way?
I'd take over Jake Paul and go get the shit beat out of me by somebody like really. I'd
Yes.
just go get my ass kicked for like I know I would feel the pain, but just
Uh,
to get rid of the Pauls, I would just be like I'd become one of the Pauls, go out there get my ass beat. No, I mean I guess that's just a quick fun answer. I guess a better answer would be I would become Jack Black because I've always loved Jack Black. I'd like love
okay.
all his movies and like everything he
Uh,
does. And so I would become Jack Black and I would go to like a Minecraft event or like an event that I know people would just be like above and beyond like happy to see me
mm,
and just like show up and just give them all the time in the world. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
I
sure.
want to give some I would want to give somebody the experience that I would like love to have. You know what I mean?
Mm.
With like I would love to like for instance I was gonna say, I was gonna say, I'll take over Michael J. Fox and not let him shake for a day. You know what
Oh
I mean?
gosh. Oh gosh.
Because Back to the Future is my favorite movie. So no, that's fucked up. But no, I just mean like I would love to do something like that though. Just like take over somebody that's
Uh,
just like such a loved person and go where they're loved. Like become John Cena and walk into like a kids wrestling like kid
sure.
a backyard wrestling thing a bunch of teenagers were putting on together. You know what I mean, or something like that. So.
Mm.
Yeah, I would just love to do something like that. What about you? Who would you jump in?
It's funny that you said Jake Paul because I kind of literally had like the same immediate, but not that. I was just thinking of like more so a musician that I just like like somebody that I like just annoys me.
Like, I'm sick of you. We're
I
fucking up
hate
your
this band or
career.
whatever,
Yeah.
but like I want to go on stage, like
No
like
more 311 ever. No, I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
I'm gonna go like
I like 311. I'm just kidding. But
no disrespect to Taylor Swift, but like go to a Taylor Swift concert and just like do something completely stupid to just embarrass. Like you've had enough limelight. Let's
yeah,
like make something funny happen for you, and not anything really bad. Just like make her do like suck it, like on stage, something that people are like, I can't believe Taylor did this, just stupid and immature.
yeah,
Would be fun, but also like for good. Like I don't know, yeah, it'd be fun to just live in a moment as somebody, like you said, like that'd be pretty rad to do.
yeah.
So
Like play quarterback for a day. Like
yeah.
take over quarterback for the Colts. So that like Anthony Richardson. Like fuck it. For one, I'd be able to run fast as shit. So that'd be nice. But no, it'd just be like be able to be like I played quarterback for an NFL game one day. And we
Mhm.
lost 77-0. Like,
I
but
would
no,
take
like.
over Joey Chestnut's body and I would eat 500 hot dogs in 10 minutes and just to know what that feels like.
You and me
But
take
then
over.
leave when his stomach is all rumbling afterwards and be like,
Yeah.
nah, you can handle this, brother. So,
Or you take a shit the size of Stan Marsh on fucking South Park. Like,
yes.
no, it's like
Uh,
you and me, like the same time you take over him, I take over Kobayashi, and people are like, why could they only finish 14 dogs? It's
this is
like
gross.
they weren't
Yeah.
themselves today. It's like I'm not dipping no dogs in water, that's for sure.
Yeah. He's so slow at eating this. He looks like he doesn't like it.
That would be my thing is like it depends on if the talent comes with it. You know what I mean? Depends on
Mm,
who I would take over.
fair point.
Because like a voice, obviously, like if you take over Jack Black, you is like you'll be able to sing like Jack Black because the voice
Mm,
note, like your vocals are technically like you'll be using his vocal shit. But when
sure.
it comes to like skateboarding, if you can't physically do something, like would it be fun to take over for Jamie Foy? You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, that's a
or
good
Nigel
point.
Houston. Like I'd love to be Nigel Houston or Olivia. Oh fuck, what's his name? He's one of my favorites. Luan Oliveira.
Oh yeah,
Luan
dudes.
Oliveira is like one of my favorite skaters, dude. If I could take over him with his skill, he would be
Yeah.
like my choice. You know what I mean? Like on the day of like SLS skate or
Mm.
street park day or whatever.
That dude has the most insane pop I've ever seen. That dude rules.
Yeah,
But,
no, he's one of my favorites. And the fact that he just so quietly like
mm,
kills it, like best trick and shit, it's like, dude, fucking gnarly as
yeah.
hell. But hell yeah.
But yeah.
No,
But that
fucking
was that was my spin on trying to make this very bleak and dreadful film a little more fun. So,
well, fuck yeah. No, and I love this film. I definitely recommend it to everybody. And it's one of those films that I know you said it's a perfect film for you. I don't know if you'd rank it necessarily 10 out of 10. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10 though. And the
mm,
only thing I would dock it for is the fact that for me, a perfect film has to be for everybody. And I feel like
uh,
this isn't for everybody. You know what I mean?
sure.
Like, so that's the only reason I dock it that 0.5, but it's a perfect film for me. You know what I mean? Like as a fan of these
Sure.
things, but
That's so interesting. I'm so selfish because I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, but this is a perfect movie for me. Screw everybody else. It's my movie, you know?
well, like for me, a perfect film is like Jaws because it never
Okay.
gets too gory for like the
Sure.
people that can't handle gore. like my stepdad doesn't like gore. Like so I could see
Mm.
where this film might be like a little like
Oh yeah.
it wouldn't be enough to ruin the film for him, don't get me wrong, but like I could see where it would be like hard at moments. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
uh
my wife would hate this movie. She'd be like upset with me if I made her watch it.
and then of course like just the weird visuals too though, like where
Yeah.
she's like melting and like some people don't fuck with that and I think it's fucking that's one of the things I didn't mention that I think are awesome. Like
Oh yeah.
the earlier scene where it shows her going in and out of that first like or when she's going into Christopher Abbott's body and like her
Mhm.
body melts down like a wax figure and then like comes
Yeah, that's
back as
sick.
him.
The actual like reverse stop motion like
Yeah.
melting. Yeah, that's sick. Um, yeah, there's I mean it's such a cool stylistic film. And I think because again, talking about Mandy again, like that movie had so much style and like dreaminess to it that I was just so captivated. Like obviously it's a different director, but like this movie was like the first movie since watching Mandy that felt like it existed in a similar universe and has the same actress, but still, yeah.
Yeah. And we got to see you and me went and saw Infinity Pool together, which, you know, because of this one.
Mm,
So that was cool that we got to see that one in theaters. And I really enjoy that one as well. That's one that
mhm.
we'll have to touch on in the future for sure.
Yeah,
Cycle
definitely.
back for maybe
Yeah,
when
has he announced anything that he's working on, or has there been anything? Because I haven't heard anything new about him. I'd be curious what he's doing next.
no, I haven't heard anything. I feel like there might have been something mentioned, but I honestly don't remember. But that's exactly what I was about to say is maybe we can circle back to Infinity Pool when, you know, it's getting closer for his new
Mhm.
film to finally drop or whatever. But
Let's see. I'm curious if there's anything that is listed on upcoming. Oh, there's Project C. I don't know what that means, but
maybe keeping
that's
the like title under wraps type deal.
yeah, probably. Which is cool. I mean, I respect that if this is the type of director that's like gonna just make what he makes when he makes it, kind of like
Yeah.
Thanos. So, but
When
yeah,
he made, I mean, Possessor and Infinity Pool were pretty close together, so and they
it's
both
true.
seem to be successful as far as like critics liking them, and like I think Infinity Pool did well. I mean, when we went and saw it, the theater was pretty packed out. So,
Mhm.
no,
So
I'm excited to see what he does again, and hopefully it won't be too long before he does it. But it's the same thing. It's like even though I haven't, he's 2 out of 3, but only because I haven't seen the third one for me.
mhm.
And it's so like as soon as he puts something out again, I'll definitely be buying a ticket and going to see it like opening day. So,
You'll really like Antiviral, I think.
oh
It's
yeah,
it definitely is like a claustrophobic type film. Like you feel gross in that movie. But I mean, it's good. It doesn't hit as hard for me as Possessor did, but
yeah,
I think you'll enjoy it.
hell yeah. Well, and for our listeners, our upcoming topics, I'm working on some guests for this month, but we'll probably end up putting out our episodes, and then the guests will come towards the end of the month with the
Mhm.
monthly roundtable. If I can pull a guest, if not, we might just have to do a third episode in there, but or our fourth episode, because our upcoming
Mhm.
topics, of course, we're going to be joined by your daughter Penelope to talk to her about. It'd just be fun for us to get the opinion of like a teenager,
Yeah,
like and how
totally.
she feels about horror movies and stuff. So we're gonna get her opinion on like just I guess we'll call the episode like horror through the eyes of the youth or something. You know, we'll figure out something, but definitely pretty much like just trying to get like pick her brain on like, you know,
Mhm.
horror through the eyes of a younger individual and how they see it, you know, because like we grew up at a different time when horror was way different and just
Totally.
and the way you could access everything was way different. You had to go
Mhm.
rent something from the store. Nowadays they have that shit on their Xbox or TVs just right
Mhm.
there. So, and then of
Spoiled.
course, right, and then of course we're also going to chat about uh my topic, which is 3 scenes in either horror television or film that unsettled us or got under our skin or whatever. We'll definitely lock in a title there, but pretty much just anything that really like unnerved us. And spoiler alert for anybody that's going to be listening to that, I'm not going to go with anything mainstream like the obvious ones like Serbian film or the animal deaths and cannibal holocaust. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
with more. I'm kind of gonna go for scenes that are like in film. So like, I'm not gonna go for films that are fucked up the whole time, and there's like that
Mhm.
one scene that's like extra fucked up. I'm gonna go for like that fucked up scene in a movie that's usually not like filled with just nonstop fucked up stuff. You know, like I'm not gonna pick August
Sure.
Underground and you know just pick like the worst scene of it or nothing. So, definitely like. I enjoy all that stuff and I enjoy really fucked up stuff, but I'm gonna go for the stuff
Mhm.
that it just really like surprisingly got under my skin. You know what I mean? So.
Dude, as soon as this is over, go watch the trailer for Garden of Eden.
Hell yeah.
Uh, it looks like it's gonna be like Martyrs level, like, oh damn.
Oh fuck yeah. No, definitely check
So
it out for sure.
yeah. But anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the next couple of topics and I just told Penelope right before we got on. I was like, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be on the podcast." And she was like, "What?"
Hell yeah.
She's like, "When?" So she's super excited. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we'll have to get together. Maybe you and I can come up with some questions ahead of time just so we're like prepared and knowing what we want to give to her.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be fun. So, I'm stoked.
Oh yeah. And now, of course, we can make that our next episode. That way we can go ahead and get her recorded and stuff because I know she's excited for it. So we'll get together. I'll shoot you a text later on this week. We'll get our questions together and then we'll schedule that up for sure. But for anybody who's listening, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think of Possessor, as well as maybe just Brandon Cronenberg's filmography in general. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe definitely because the subscription helps the best. But like and subscribe. And then if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just make sure you leave a rating, or on Spotify, you can leave comments again and let us know what you thought of Brandon Cronenberg's films, especially Possessor. But I appreciate you for joining me once again, man. I'm stoked, like you said, to jump into these topics over the next few weeks.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure.
Oh,
Always
yeah.
a pleasure.
Later, man. Enjoy the
Later.
rest of your night.
You too.